Though it is episode 9, we have reached the finale to season 2 of Yellowjackets. The future of this show, up in the air at this point. It could be, I would give it at least 2 to 2.5 years before some form of season 3 even graces our screen. Which is okay. I mean, I would rather the people involved in the process get paid their due as opposed to rushing out a season 3. So that's fine by me. I guess because I also want them to think about the show a little bit more. Now, I've been a fan since day one. I love the first season. I really like what this season has done. There are things that have happened towards the end of this season I can't say I've been the biggest supporter of. I can't say I've loved every single thing that's happened. But overall, I still enjoy watching this show. I love seeing my girls get together and just talk about weird stuff. And the more it delves into like the ritualistic stuff about like the horrific events of the island, it is very just lost. And that kind of upsets me where a lot of like the latter half of this episode definitely felt like we're doing a Lost. And I was like, oh, you could have just swung the other way and I think you would have found something else that you could have tried. But okay, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. We were really setting up for this episode. Last week, Javi was killed in a lake because nobody saved him. I said then they have to be going crazy or else this is an inexcusable thing for them to do. Now, we don't really like justify their actions in this episode. It's just kind of like, okay, let's talk about the stuff in the past timeline first because there's more to talk about in the present timeline. The past timeline goes into some interesting directions. Travis realizes his brother was killed, and then he just kind of like has a moment where he's like, this all sucks, what's going on here? Doesn't really know how to think, how to feel about anything. And then we just have like our main four girls kind of like bring Javi's body to like the butcher like area, and Shauna cuts him up, and it's just getting too normal now. And I'm like, okay, that's still like, there's still like the huge like dichotomy between seeing these girls like butcher a child and cook his heart. They cook his heart on a pan, and then having them just be like, do I like Elijah Wood in the present timeline? There's like a really big difference between that still. And I think this episode is where you really felt it. Because in the present timeline, one of them's like, we all got over the weird shit we did. You watch a young man die, and then you cut his body up and eat it. You're not getting over that. That's not a thing you're going to forget. Unless it's like the wilderness was forcing them to forget. It's weird because it could also be like a mental illness that they're talking about. So it's maybe like actually a thing the forest is doing. It's weird. It's all weird stuff. And again, no explanation is given for any of it. So we kill Javi and we eat him. We have a moment where we're like, well, here's the meat. Are we going to cook it? I guess we should see what Travis is going to do first with his brother's body. So Travis takes the heart, just right on the big pile of meat, and he bites into the heart, and there's like blood. It's like, oh, look at this. And then he throws it on the pan, and the girls go crazy eating this boy. And it's crazy. And the coach is like, this is insane. I'm not here anymore. I found like a hole that Javi was living in. Nat, you should come with me because you're different. You are not like them. You understand what's going on here. But now Nat's kind of like the last one to succumb to the madness of the wilderness. It was slowly like everyone was kind of trickling in there. Van was kind of like the first one, and then Misty kind of fell into line. Thaisa was kind of the next one to be with Van, and then Shauna, after a while, kind of like fell into line, being like Lottie's like, okay, that's good. This episode, it doesn't like state right away that like Natalie's gonna be like a part of like the weird cannibalistic tribe, but she is eating people, and she is kind of just like, I can't go with you, coach. I gotta stay here either to make sure these people don't do anything crazy or to take it over. And it's like, what? Very strange. It's a very strange thing they do with her. I guess it does play into what's going to be happening in the present timeline, but I'll just say it again. There's a lot of talented young actresses on this show, and I love all of them to death. Sophie Thatcher, still a cut above the rest. She is crushing it in every single thing she is given to do. It's pretty cool that the week this show ends, she has a movie coming out that you can watch in theaters called The Boogeyman, based on a Stephen King story. That's pretty exciting, because her stock is going up. It's only going up. They're all gonna be getting a lot more work because the things you're doing in the show are insane. It's just really cool. She's got a movie coming out. After the stellar performance she gives of like, I am a bad person, I let Javi die so I live, and now I'm eating him, and now it's all really messed up and weird, and when Lottie's finally got like some stability in herself, and everyone's turning to Lottie like, how do we do this? We need to survive. What are we going to do? She's like, no, I'm not the leader. I just got us to where we are now. To actually have us like lead and survive, the wilderness has provided us a person already. And that's Natalie. So now, Natalie is the leader? Like, okay. They don't have her as the antler queen, so we don't see the person with the antlers yet. Which is very interesting, because that could also be somebody different. We like don't see her deal with that. So okay, cool. That's something. That's something. I do really like the moment where they're all kind of like bowing to Nat, like, okay, you're a leader, we'll follow you, and all of them give her like a different like bow, and like what they're gonna like say to her is just kind of like stiff when Thaisa does it, and Van kind of goes a little extra, and then when Misty does like a bow, she laughs. Still in the situation when she is in a place she doesn't want to be, Nat is still like, Misty's weird, that's insane, what's going on? And it's just really like the way that Thatcher just slowly laughs towards the end of the entire experience where everyone bows to her. It's really subtle and awesome, because it's like, yeah, this is crazy, and now I'm here to defend you, and the coach is watching from the window like, what are you doing? This just became a full-on cult, something you're going to be adamantly against later on? Weird. It is very weird. And then the stuff in the past just kind of ends when, the coach is like, these girls are going to kill me, so I'm going to kill them first, and he burns down the cabin. And I'm like, yeah, you got it, man. That's funny. Because then they take they take the axe, and they take their blankets, and they take the gun, and Shauna takes her journals, because Shauna's kind of pissed she wasn't chosen to lead them. And I guess that's going to like make some tension with her, but it doesn't really feel like it. It definitely feels like if the show does continue longer, we could see the young actors leave the wilderness and like react in the present. Present meaning like, to like, no, 1997 would it be when they get, or was it 98 when they get back? Or do they go in 98? I can't remember. When did they go? It doesn't matter. Interesting. It definitely feels like, okay, we need a new location now for these girls. We're going to burn down the cabin, and that's what we do. So they're weaker, they're lost in the forest, and the coach is hiding in a big hole. I still think he's coming into the present timeline. If we get another season, I do think we're going to put some old age makeup on Steve and have him show up and be like, he's hunting them or something. He's just like, this is crazy. You girls are crazy. I hate you all. Because we leave him in a specific place where we don't know what his outcome. He's kind of like the last big mystery box we have. There's a couple other girls in the forest we don't know the outcome of, but it pretty much seems like we're just going to eat them, so that's fine. He's the one we don't know. He could be the villain in the past timeline or the hero, depending on how you look on it. But for the past timeline stuff goes, it sets up a lot for Nat. It gives Sophie Thatcher a lot to do. And it's just kind of like, okay, we are either like seriously messed up or we're all terrible people. Which they do want to say they're terrible people. But even so, I've been saying it for a week now. If you kill Javi and you let him die so you can eat him, that doesn't excuse anything you do later on. You're still going to be a bad person. And even in the present timeline when you all say, well, we got over it. No, you didn't. That doesn't excuse your behavior. It's very strange that way. With the present timeline, every single story comes to a head. We're going to do something we haven't done in like 25 years. We're going to have to sacrifice somebody to the wilderness because it's haunting us. This is where they play into a couple of themes where maybe Lottie's actually just insane and none of this is happening. It's like, well, Thaisa's night walking could just be something coming up again. They're still leaving it ambiguous to what this threat is. Sure, that's fine. what is a threat in like a Sam Raimi movie, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, but then things just kind of like happen, and this episode just kind of like picks up in some very bizarre ways. It's not great. It's not a great ending to this season. I don't hate what happens, but it's just kind of like, okay, we're going to have to do another sacrifice, which they're going to like lead Lottie on that they want to do it when actually they're going to like want to send her away back to, the crazy people house that she comes from. So they try to do that. They do another card game, and this one's kind of cool where it's like intersecting between the amount of times they flick the cards and like the past timeline where we see them flicking the cards. And this time around, who gets the Queen of Hearts is Shauna. Shauna is the one that ends up for the kill, and instantly you just see like all of these women just kind of like snap back into that primal state, which does lead into another thing where it's like, are they being manipulated by the wilderness into doing these acts? Or are they aware of it? And it's kind of like a metaphor where it's like, if you are put in these intense circumstances, the trauma will stay with you. So you'll instantly revert back to that when you are given the same experience. It's so ambiguous. And I get why it's ambiguous, but you could attempt to say something else in there or give us more than just like a mystery box of what it is. Because it really doesn't make sense why all 5 of the other ladies, I get Lottie, I get Van, Natalie to some extent. I guess I don't understand like why Ty and Misty fully commit to we're going to kill Shauna. Like they do it. Like they're going to do it. They're going to hunt her. They're going to wear different masks, and again, the masks represent a lot about their personality. I really like the way Thaisa and Van's mask have like the opposing like Phantom of the Opera blocks. It looks really cool. One half for Van is blocked, the other one for Ty is blocked. One full mask when they're together. Kind of interesting. So they're going to hunt Shauna for a bit. As that's going on, Elijah Wood's given a lot to do this episode. He solves a lot of problems. So we kind of like resolve the Adam death pretty quickly, where a couple of things happen. Jeff and Callie show up because they want to help out. Everyone's coming together. The police officers follow them. And we see, Kevin's the one that goes to talk to Walter. And Walter instantly knows, like, I don't trust a cop. I'm a citizen detective. And he poisons Kevin's drink. So that's another person from like their high school class that is just unceremoniously murdered because they just poison Kevin and kill him. And Jeff helps Walter put his body in his car so they can trick the other cop that was interested in Callie into thinking that. So we got rid of Kevin easy. Kevin's death apparent. It doesn't matter now. We got him. He's done. One less thing to worry about. And then we have to get rid of, was it Ryan? Is that the name of the other one that's interested in Callie? So Walter kind of like threatens him when he finds, like he takes the guy's gun, shoots Kevin, and then gives the gun back to the cop. Like, hey, it's going to look pretty crazy that like that just happened because he was actually the one that killed Adam Martin. And we set this all up with like another murder of like this reporter that was investigating these people. It's very crazy. And, like, you solved the case, so you're going to get, like, a big reward for doing this and solving this murder and all that stuff. And also, if you don't, I can pin this to make it look like you did that. All of that is from Elijah Wood in, like, 5 minutes. He solved the crisis in a minute, and cool, we're happy for him. He chose Misty. There was a brief second where we could have been like, is he turning sides? No, he's on Misty's side the entire time. That's kind of fun. As that's happening, too, Callie just randomly stumbles upon the hunt going on in the forest, and she shoots Lottie in the arm. And it kind of snaps everybody back into the moment. And something else happens in that moment I do think we're going to see kind of like bleed over to whatever the next season's going to look like. We are introducing we're like Degrassi, the next generation, this situation, because we have Callie come pulled in now to like this event, and Lisa, the one that was kind of like connecting with Natalie, she's also pulled into this event. So there are 2 ladies from like this new era that are now like a part of this. So it could be like, oh, now it's just adding new bodies when we take away some. So it's just like an endless cycle. Maybe like maybe if we do another season, I say maybe, I know it's confirmed, but anything could go away now at any time. Maybe if we do another season, Callie's school friends are going to become like a bigger character. So we're going to see like the new generation with like Callie and Lisa involved in that thing. and we're gonna pass it to that, and maybe that season's gonna have like Callie go on like a trip somewhere. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. It's kind of fun, right? I guess it's cool. So the young kids have guns and they shoot the parents. It's like, oh, that's kind of fun. But we see Lisa is like ready to like kill because they're like, what is going on? This is insane. Put the gun down. And we see that Natalie gets involved before Lisa's going to shoot anybody. And as that's going on, something happens that it's very strange. I know what they're doing because there needs to be a sacrifice because that's how it goes away and then comes back, but it never leaves. It's kind of like Highlander. In the end, there's only going to be one. So before Lisa shoots anybody with the gun, Misty's coming in with like her needle of deadly poison to kill Lisa, and Natalie steps in the way, and Misty stabs Natalie with the poison that instantly kills you, and we kill Natalie unceremoniously, and she's dead. We have a sequence where she's like on a plane and she sees Javi and she sees her younger self, and it's like, it's okay, you've always been flirting with being here. And I'm like, I guess, but that doesn't make it right. I guess. So a couple of things about that. One, it doesn't mean anything really. Like it feels like a shocking death that's just, here you go, we're done. It doesn't conclude Natalie's arc because she didn't really have one this season. She was kind of willing to accept that. I guess the relationship with Lisa was supposed to be like her seeing the younger version of herself and being like, don't make the mistakes I did, but it wasn't really. And it just comes across as like nothing. Very strange. So it's weird to have the entirety of the past timeline hyping up Natalie just for us to see her rise to power, to her ultimate fall of grace in like 20 minutes. It's very strange. And is Juliette Lewis not coming back? She was like a main cast member. She had like the and or with credit. So it's like, did she not want to come back for another season? Is that why it was her? Logically, it makes sense if it was Van because we knew Van was dying. So that always felt like the right call to make. And even Lottie, because she's a new addition like Van, I didn't expect it to be Natalie. Especially because we already killed Kevin earlier on and we killed Travis in the last season. Like two men that she had a connection with. It feels like that type of story was just, we're done with it now. I don't really like it, but I also think her dying does add Lisa and Callie into the mix for this. And eventually, well, it could lead with like maybe Callie's going to have to kill her mom or something. I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's anything. It definitely didn't have a really good feel to it. I don't know. It was a very weird, it just felt kind of off. I'm like, oh, okay, that could have been like an alternate ending we had, but very strange. It wasn't that cool. And then there's just kind of like the wrap up where, you know, we solved the crime. Walter's like, hey, I killed a cop and I framed the other guy, so he's going away. Lottie's going back to the mental institution she crawled out of. And then we're just kind of done. And okay, and Jeff's like, hey, problem solved, babe, we're good, we're resetting for next year. Weird. It's very weird. I don't know about it. It didn't do a lot of stuff I liked. I still think there's so much inexcusable things done in the past timeline that feels a little over the top for how the characters are acting in the present timeline. You're not coming back from some of the stuff they did, and I don't think just pretending their lives are normal is enough. And the ambiguity of like what this is, I do think it could still be like in their mind for some extent. But then if that's the case, it'd have to be that this entire time they've been crazy, which I guess is the vibe because they were going to kill Shauna, and Shauna was ready to kill people too. I do like seeing these actresses together, and there's some really fun writing stuff in here. The sets still look great. The Elijah Wood and Christina Ricci dynamic is so strong and fun. They're doing so good together, and Sophie Thatcher is just fantastic. But as far as finales go, it didn't excite me. It didn't wow me. It didn't move me. I was just kind of like, well, I guess that makes sense for the story we're telling, but now we're just kind of back to where we were. But the family is closer together, and Van and Thaisa are together. We never once mention her son or wife again, which I'm like, okay. We moved a lot, and I guess things are shut down now. Like this weird cult is shut down. I don't know. I don't know, but it ended with Nat dying, and we just kind of like brush it off, and we're like, okay, what next? I don't know. Very strange. For somebody who has liked this season for the most part, this ending definitely felt both rushed, uninspired, and kind of just all over the place. I don't know. You know, the thing with mystery boxes is you don't have to leave them as a hanging thread all the time. You can answer them. I feel like the show is just sometimes scared to answer them, or when it does, it's just like, no, Javi's dead already. Yeah, the baby's dead. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it's weird. This season, I have liked a lot of it. I do think it picked up after the girls came together. And now the stuff in the past is, I don't want to say it's too extreme, but it's at that point where I don't feel any interest in it because we're down to maybe like 9 people and we know 6 of them are going away, and because we haven't paid any attention to the other characters, it's like, well, we know they're either going to die or mean nothing. The only mystery box is kind of the coach because he's the only actual character left. I don't know. I hope this next season, whenever it's done, is interesting, because if this is the last breath of the Yellowjackets universe, I don't know. It's just kind of like, it could act as an ending. We solved the problem. The cult's done. We gave it what it wanted. But that kind of sucks too, doesn't it? I don't know. What'd you guys think of this finale? Was it good? Was it bad? To me, solid 5, I guess. I don't know, but that's going to do it for this review. Hopefully we'll be back in 2026 to talk more Yellowjackets. Until then, I will be returning with weekly reviews for Superman and Lois Season 3. We're going to be finishing that up in the next couple of weeks. I think there's a month left of that show. And then after that, we'll be jumping right back into Star Trek Strange New World Season 2. I was going to say Brave New World, but no, that was canceled too. Thank you all for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And as always, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.